There is a voice in your head that has an opinion about everything you do. When you make a mistake, it's there. When you try something new, it's there. When you scroll past someone's highlight reel and feel the gap between their life and yours, it's there. Loud, fast, and completely convinced it's telling you the truth. You're not good enough. You're too slow. You should be further along by now. Who the fuck do you think you are? And most people have been living with that voice so long that they've stopped questioning it. It just runs in the background like a program you forgot that you installed. And here's the thing that nobody stops to ask: who wrote that code? Because you were not born talking to yourself that way. Someone taught you, something shaped it, and at some point, probably early, probably when you didn't have the tools to push back, you took it in and you made it all yours. The inner critic isn't your conscious, okay? It isn't wisdom. It isn't keeping you humble or keeping you safe. It's a learned pattern, and it's performing, playing dress up as this self-awareness, and it has been costing you more than you know. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Listen Bitch podcast. This is the rebellion season, and today let's go after something that lives closer than any external enemy ever could. Okay? It's that voice inside your own head that sounds like you, talks like you, and has been sabotaging you for years on the inside. This is, what are we in? I think this is episode 12, you guys. And if the last few shows have been building something in you, this is gonna hit in the foundation of all of it. I am your host, Brandon Lynette. I help people, especially those with the neurospicy brains, step into their God-given potential by taking radical responsibility for their lives, but doing the actual internal work, okay, that changes how you show up in every room, in every relationship, and every decision. And quick note before we go deep, I'm still looking for sponsors this season, brands that align with integrity, health, sovereignty, truth. Not just anyone with a budget. I'm looking for the right fit. Okay. If that's you or you know someone, please reach out. Listen, listen, bitch. Okay. The inner critic is not you. It is a collection of voices, experiences, and messages that you've just absorbed them before you had any say in the matter at all. Like a parent who criticized more than they affirmed for you, a teacher who made an example of you, a culture that told you your worth was tied to your output, maybe a church that used shame and discipleship as a tool, a social media feed that showed you everyone else's best day while you're living your hardest one. Your brain, especially, I'm always going to speak to the neurospicy brains. It's an extraordinary pattern recognition machine. Like your brain's a fucking beast, bitch, okay? It takes in data, finds the repeating signal, and it builds a story. And if the repeating signal early in your life was like, you're not enough, your brain built that into the operating system. Like that is how you function. It's how you work. It's how you think. It's how you respond. And you don't even know. And this happens not because it's true, but because it was consistent. And understanding this matters because it changes the question. The question is no longer, why am I like this? I know I hear the gasp, like you've asked yourself that a million times. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? That's a shame spiral. That's not self-reflection. The question becomes, what did I learn? And is this still serving me? That's a question you can actually work with. Okay? That's where the rebellion starts. And the hustle culture comes in, okay? And it makes everything worse. Hustle culture doesn't just glorify overwork, it glorifies your inner critic. It repackages that self-punishment as ambition. And it tells you that the voice calling you not enough is actually the voice that's going to make you great. That the discomfort of constantly measuring yourself against someone doing more, someone earning more, achieving more is what separates winners from the rest. So you don't quiet the critic, you're feeding it and you're calling it drive. And you have toxic ass people in your life who are supporting this. Then you burn out. And it's not because you work too hard, because you're running from a voice that was never going to be satisfied no matter how much you produced. The burnout is not the problem, it's the signal. It's your body telling you that the thing you've been chasing was never going to be enough because the goalposts were always moving and the critic is always, always watching. The perfectionism trap is a specific kind of hell because perfectionism isn't really about high standards. It's about fear. Fear that if you put something out that isn't flawless, the critic gets proven right. So it's easy. Don't finish the things. Start 10 projects and complete none. Over prepare, under execute, wait till it's perfect, which means you basically wait forever, which means your calling sits untouched while the critic's telling you that's evidence that you were never capable to begin with. You were never going to pull that off. And social media. Oh, the thin line between love and hate. It just pours gasoline on all of this. You are watching the curated highlight reel of thousands of people's best moments and you compare it to the unedited, unfiltered behind the scenes of your own life. That is not fair comparison. And it's not even a real one. But your brain doesn't file it under performance, it files it under evidence. Evidence that everyone has it all figured out. Evidence that you're behind. Evidence for the critic. You know, when you finish something good and immediately go looking for what's wrong with it, you can't receive a compliment without deflecting it or internally disputing it. I'm talking to you when you replay conversations for hours afterward, editing what you should have said. When you avoid starting things because starting means the risking of being the critic is just being right about you. It shows up in your calling, the podcast you haven't launched, the business that's still in your notes app, the messages that God put in you that you've been waiting to feel ready enough, polished enough, qualified enough to actually share. The critic has a reason for every delay, and the delay has become so normal, bitch, that you don't even see right now. This is such a toxic pattern in your life. And it's going to show up in your seasons of waiting. And this is what's so important. Like some of you are in a transitional season right now. Something ended, something hasn't started yet, and the silence of the in-between spaces where the critic gets so loud because there's no achievement to point to, no progress to measure, no external proof that you're moving, and the critic interprets stillness as failure. But listen, bitch, what if the waiting isn't empty? What if the stillness is the work? God does some of his clearest speaking in the seasons that feel like nothing is happening. The spiritual discipline of being still, actually still, not distracted scrolling while sort of resting still. It's one of the most countercultural things you can practice right now, and the critic hates it because it can't measure it. Self-sabotage, you guys, it's not a mystery. It's not new. It's the inner critic in action. When you're on the verge of something real, a breakthrough, a business launch, a vulnerable conversation, maybe a step towards the calling, towards that God-given calling, the critic escalates because something in you learned that being seen is dangerous, that being visible means being judged, that succeeding means more is expected of you. So the critic spikes right at the moment of progress and you pull back. And then you wonder why you keep stopping yourself at the 1-yard line. And self-sabotage, listen, it's protection from a threat your nervous system calculated before you could think clearly about it. But you're not that person anymore. You have more tools. You have more clarity. You have more God on your side now than you did when the program was written. The critic is running just this old coding in a new season, and it's time to update your entire system. You're made in the image of God. That is not a bullshit motivational poster. It is a foundational theological truth about your fundamental worth that exists entirely outside of your productivity, your output, your social following, your income, or anyone's piece of shit opinion of you. And that inner critic operates from a different gospel, one where your worth is earned. Your value is performance-based, and you are always one failure away from being found out. That is not the gospel of Jesus. That is the gospel of shame. That's the devil's dirty work. And it's worth knowing the difference because you cannot build a life on both. You have to start. You want to change this, you have to start by getting curious about the voice instead of just believing it. Next time the critic fires up, just ask the question, where did I first hear this? And it's not to go down this incredible rabbit hole, just to create a little distance, create the distance. And when you realize the voice sounds like your third grade teacher or your most critical parent, or maybe it sounds like the culture you grew up in, it stops sounding like truth and it starts sounding like what it actually is just an old message from an old source that you never chose to adopt. And then you have to pick one thing that you've been waiting to start until it was perfect. Do the imperfect version today. Babe, that means like one paragraph or one recorded voice note, one email sent. And not because it's ready, because done and imperfect beats not started and imaginary every single time. Your brain needs you to start stacking evidence that action is survivable. Give it that evidence once, and then the next time you come through, it gets slightly easier. And you have to practice the stillness. Not as a reward for finishing your to-do list, as a discipline. 10 minutes, no phone, no input, just you and quiet and whatever God wants to say in the space that critic usually fills. That is where the recalibration happens. That is where you start to hear your actual voice again underneath the noise. The rebellion season is always going to be about this, becoming someone you can actually respect. Owning the power and the potential that God blessed you with, knowing that his calling on your life is greater than any old programming or any old story is the most important thing that you are holding right now. You cannot fully respect yourself while you're letting a voice built by someone else's fear run your life. The critic is loud, but it's not the final word. If this episode lands for you, do what people almost never do when something actually matters. Okay? Like the show, subscribe, leave a written review. Okay? The only thing it's going to cost you is like a couple minutes of your time. But it definitely helps the right people find this. Okay? I can't share this show without you. I just can't. Okay? I need you guys to head to brandonlynette.com, get on my list, watch the full video on YouTube, subscribe over there because I need your help building it. But listen, bitch, the voice in your head is not the truth about you, and it's time that you start acting like it.